My name is Loretta. I'm a cost controller and I'm a new mom to a 6-month-old baby boy. So after wedding, the plan was to wait for a year before we start making babies. I guess because we were newlyweds and we wanted to enjoy the marriage and settle and adjust properly into the marriage before we introduce new members who will be comfortable, of course. But after some months, I don't remember when exactly, but I think after about 5-6 months, plans changed. We just couldn't wait anymore. We decided to start trying. So my husband and I did an extensive reading on ovulation, when I'm most fertile, when it's best to try, those things. And then we tried and we got pregnant. So there was this one time I noticed that I had missed my period. So I informed my husband about it. And so that evening after work, we passed by one of the neighborhood pharmacy shops to get a pregnancy test kit. And so we bought and tested the following morning because I heard you get the best results when you use the early morning urine. And so we tested and then we saw 2 lines, which meant I was pregnant. But for some reason, my husband was not convinced. He was like, Buski, let's not jinx it. Let's go to the hospital, get medically tested, and then we can conclude that we are pregnant. And so that morning, I went to the hospital, and then I told the doctor, I think I'm pregnant. So he ran a number of tests on me, and then they all came out positive. So that evening, when I got home, I told my husband that it's official, I'm pregnant. But I think we both didn't react as we were supposed to react, like all excited. I guess reality had hit us because, I don't know, it just hit us that, are we really ready for this pregnancy? Are we really ready for the baby? I think we both felt like if we knew it was going to be that easy and fast, we should have just stuck with our 1-year plan or waited a little bit longer, but it had already been done and we can't undo it, so we went ahead with it. But I must say that as I progressed through the pregnancy, we got more and more excited. We got excited when we were going for hospital visits. We got excited when the baby started kicking. We got excited when we were buying baby stuff. We even named the baby even before he was born. We were that excited to meet the baby. So that's how come I got pregnant. Generally, I'll say it's the pampering. It's the pampering. I won't even be modest about it. Like, I was really pampered by my husband, my mom, my work colleagues. They were also amazing. You know, like waking up most days, finding your house, spick and span, kind courtesy my husband. And I used to have frequent muscle pulls when I was pregnant, so it was advisable for me not to be driving. So I used to carpool with my colleagues to the office. And you wake up every morning and then someone will call you, oh, Laurie, will you join me today? Laurie, should I pick you up at Spanner? Oh, Laurie, go with me. You know, those sweet, nice things. And there's this particular colleague of mine, anytime he picks me up, he just go like, oh, Laurie, on our way, if you are craving for anything, just tell me. I'll stop and buy for you. Even if it's not on our way to work, I'll buy for you. Don't think it's an inconvenience to me. You know, people were really, really nice to me. And then the priority service, like, I remember this one time I went to buy wachi at Atomic Junction, and there was a very long queue there. But when I got there, I just joined the queue, and then I saw the food seller signaling me. She was like, hey, Abrewa, Otodeng. I was like, oh, but you're sitting and me buying. She was like, Debbie, I have a for Jinahan Chebra. The speed with which I just went forward to buy my food and then went away, you know, things like that made pregnancy really nice. Yeah, and also for the fact that I could eat any quantity of food, I could wear anything and get away with it without anybody judging me. just because I was pregnant. Those things made pregnancy really, really nice. I'll describe my pregnancy as 70% not nice and 30% sweet. The main thing was spitting. I was a spitter. Like, I used to spit a lot when I was pregnant, and it made it very impossible for me to hide my pregnancy because I was spitting anywhere, I was spitting anyhow. I just couldn't keep my mouth shut for a second. I used to feel like as I'm spitting, there's another batch of spit coming, and any attempt to swallow the spit, I'll vomit. So it just made it impossible for me to drink fluids, water, drink, anything liquid, I couldn't drink. So I think it used to give me serious heartburns. I used to have like serious heartburns, and I used to have severe chest pain. That pain that feels like you're squeezing water out of a washed cloth or a washed dress. When you're squeezing, that's how it used to feel like someone is squeezing my chest. And it used to happen every single day. Like, it was so uncomfortable, it was so painful. I used to cry a lot anytime it happened. And as I mentioned earlier, I used to have frequent muscle pulls. Like, it can come anywhere, it can come anytime, at dawn when I'm sleeping, during the day, and it can happen to both legs, and then I can't move, I can't walk. It's just so painful, and it can last for so long, sometimes 5 minutes, sometimes 3 minutes, and I'll be in so much pain. I'll be crying, and my husband, poor him, he can't do anything about it. He'll just be there, oh, Buski, sorry. But the spitting, yes, I must say that for the spitting, even though it was very uncomfortable, the people around me made it bearable. They were really supportive and nice. Spitting is not a nice thing to see someone spit and to even see spit, but the people around me made it very bearable, especially my husband. He gave me his work water bottle to be spitting inside. He said it's big so I can spit into it for a very long time before I throw it away and wash. And I used to have so many accidents with my spit bottle. I don't know, for some reason I'll kick it or my hand will hit it and then the whole thing will just pour on the floor. And then he'd just be like, oh, you relax, I got this. He used to say that. Then he'd go for a rag or some antiseptic and come and wipe the whole place. And then I'm like, oh my goodness, even me, the owner of the spit, this thing is just disgusting. And then you are cleaning it. My manager then, I work very close with my manager, literally. Most of the time in her office, either explaining data or reconciling something with her. And when I'm trying to hide the spit, she's like, oh no, feel free and spit. So we talk one, then I'll spit in her face. Like, nobody made it seem like they are disgusted by it or what are you doing? Like, they really made it very comfortable for me. And I think that really helped. Okay, so in my 3rd trimester, which is like the final stage of pregnancy, I asked a lot of mothers at what week they popped. And from what I gathered, and from what my gynae told me, from 36 weeks, baby can make an appearance. I think going around asking mothers when they delivered was very, very wrong on my side. I shouldn't have done that because it put some sort of pressure on me to deliver just around the same time most of them did. And for some very silly reason, I didn't want to get to week 40 or even go past week 41. Like, no two pregnancies are the same. The day baby A will decide to show up is totally different from when baby B will decide to show up. And no matter what, baby will not stay inside you forever. Baby will definitely come out. So I don't know why I put that unnecessary pressure on myself. I asked my gynae for tips to induce labor. So he told me to be doing some slight squats and then be going for walks. So I was like, okay. So I was doing it. Week 36, baby didn't come. 37, baby didn't come. 38, baby didn't come. Week 39, I don't know whether it was a peer pressure or I was genuinely tired. But when I was 39 weeks, I was just frustrated. I used to complain to everybody that I want the baby to come out so that I get it over and done with. So I remember when I was 39 weeks, 4 days, that evening, I went for my walk. And before I began, I was like, by fire, by force, this baby has to come out. So I did some serious brisk walking for about 1 kilometer. And when I got back, I was so tired. So I just slept, and I decided to wake up later in the evening, shower and sleep again. So around 10:30 p.m., I woke up, and then I was turning off the electrical appliances I had turned on so that I go and shower and sleep. And then there was a gush, like water from my hoo-ha. It just on the floor. So at that point, I'd even forgotten that I wanted to give birth like ASAP. I was just wondering, what just happened to me? And around that time, I had weak bladder control. I used to wee-wee on myself like almost every time. So I was thinking that, is it one of those things like I just wee-weed on myself or my water is broken? No. I didn't have that. So I called my husband and I told him that. At that time, I was at my mom's and he was at home. So I called my husband and I told him that something weird just happened. I was going to shower and then I wee-weed on myself. I didn't even explain it as my water broke. I thought I just wee-weed on myself, but it feels like my water broke. Then he asked me, did your water break or you wee-weed on yourself? And I said, I'm sure I just wee-weed on myself, so it's fine. You go back to sleep. And he was like, did your water break or you wee-weed on yourself? He was very stern with the question. So I was like, I'm not too sure. I think I wee-weed on myself or my water broke. So he was like, call the doctor and then explain what happened to him. So I called my gynae. It was around 10:40 and I explained what happened. And he told me that, okay, if it's truly my water that broken, I should just go and lie down and in about 5 minutes, it will happen again. But if it's not that and I wee-weed on myself, it's not going to come back again. So I was like, okay. So I quickly went to shower and I just went to lie down. And it didn't even get to 5 minutes. I felt it again. So I was like, no, am I really in labor? No, God, I'm sorry, I take it back. I don't want to give birth now. It was now hitting me that I'm going to go through pain. So I went to the washroom to check what was happening. And then this time I saw blood in the water. So I called my gynae and I told him that this time around there's blood. And he told me to quickly get my stuff and go to the hospital. So I woke my mom up and then she took me to the hospital. I got to the hospital around 11 p.m. and then I reported to the station. They checked my hospital bag and then they took me inside. So a doctor and a nurse came and attended to me and then they asked me to tell them what had happened. So I told them my water broke like 10:30. They said okay, and all I heard them say, okay, patient is losing lico, patient is losing lico. I'm like, what are they talking about? So they made me lie down and the nurse said she has to check how many centimeters I have dilated. Because I was a new mom, a first timer, they explained every step to me and they explained everything they did to me before they did. So she told me she was going to insert her finger into my hoo-ha and then to check how many centimeters I had dilated. So I was like, okay, cool, just do it. Then she just did and it felt so painful and so uncomfortable, but I was like, no, I'm ready for it. I'm ready for the pain. I just endured it. And she said, oh, you're just 2 centimeters dilated, but you're losing lico. So you just go to I'll take you to the ward and you just relax. I'm like, okay. She said, I'm not in the active phase of labor. So I'm like, okay, no problem. At that time, I was in no pain. So I was like, okay, I think I can do it. 2 centimeters, no pain. So I went to the ward around 11:30, and then throughout the night, doctors came to attend to me, but nothing, no show. So around 6 a.m., a doctor came and said, okay, he wants to check again to see how many centimeters I have dilated. and he's been informed that I'm losing lico. They kept mentioning that, and I didn't know what that was, but I figured maybe I'm losing water or something. So he said he's going to brush my membrane. I remember he said something like that. And he's going to also check how many centimeters I had dilated. So he checked and he said, oh, you are 4 centimeters dilated. Now you're in the active phase. We'll move you to the labor ward. I'm like, oh, fine, thank you, Jesus. Then he said, but I have to brush your membrane. I'm like, oh yeah, just do it. My goodness, I don't know what he did, but all I remember was I just held his hand and just took it out and asked him what he did. And he said, oh, I gave a loud scream after that because that thing was so painful. I don't know what he did, but it was really painful. So I'm like, hey God, is this what I'm going to experience? It was after that that I started feeling slight abdominal pain. But that pain then was, I could bear it. It was nothing. It was painful, but I just could bear it. So they wheeled me to the labor ward, and then they introduced me to the nurses who were on duty. And they told them I'm 4 centimeters dilated. So when I got there, they put some drips and they put some machine on me to check, to be monitoring the baby's heartbeat. So we were there. So about 3 hours later, they came back to check, and I had dilated just 1. So I was now 5. And the doctor was like, oh no, ideally, every hour you are supposed to dilate 1 centimeter. But for 3 hours and you just dilated 1 centimeter, you are progressing slowly, so we'll induce you, okay? At that time, it wasn't too painful, so I was like, okay, induce me. This pain, I'm managing, so just induce me. So she came to inject something into the drip bag, that thing. And then the pain just went from 0 to 100. I'm like, oh my God, what have they done to me? The contractions started coming. I think it was like 1 minute apart. And it was so painful, but it was that day that I realized that I have a high tolerance for pain. I was just bearing it. 3 hours later, they came to check. I had not dilated. I mean, yes, I had not dilated. I was still at 5. And the doctor was like, I have to increase the dosage, okay? I'm like, no, doctor, even this one, it's very hard. Please don't increase the dosage. He said, no, else, don't you want to give birth quickly? Let me increase the dosage so that we can all go home, okay? So that was what she told me, and I allowed her to increase the dosage. And then this time around, the contractions came non-stop. No breaks in between. It was just coming, and it was so painful, but I was just keeping it inside because I was told not to scream and be I shouldn't be agitated, because when we get to the final round and I don't have energy, I can't push. So I was just enduring this. But at a point, I couldn't take it anymore. So I just closed. I don't know if it's a cork or something on the drip thing. I just closed it. And my husband was like, oh, Bruski, don't close it. When the doctor sees, they'll be very angry at you. And don't you want to deliver? Like, I just turned and looked at him and like, if you don't keep quiet over there, like, I'll just throw you and the whole drip thing away. And when I close, he opens, and I close, he opens. 3 hours later, they came to check, and I dilated just 6. And I stayed at 6 for a very long time. I was not progressing. So there was a nurse in the ward then. I don't know. She said she has to insert a catheter because she thinks maybe my bladder is full and it's not helping the dilation. So she wants to insert a catheter so that I can pass urine frequently. It was uncomfortable, but I made her do it. So as she was doing it, she started acting funny. She was looking at the machine that was monitoring the baby's heartbeat. And she was like, no, I have to lie down properly because the thing is fluctuating. She doesn't know what's happening. So she stopped, she went outside, she called in the doctor. The doctor came inside. They were looking at the machine, and all I saw was the doctor just ran out. And she went to call my gynae. My gynae was on leave at that time, so he was liaising with them, at that time. So she just ran out, she just called my gynae. I don't know what they talked about. And all I saw was she just came back inside and she said, okay, Lori, okay. So when I was in pain then, I was saying that, please, I won't do this thing again. I'm not a strong woman. Just go and do cesarean for me. But nobody was minding me then. So when she came back and she was like, okay, Lori, baby's heartbeat is fluctuating. It shoots so high and then it comes down low. They call it fetal distress. Yeah, so we don't know what's going on. So your doctor says we should rush you for an emergency cesarean. I was so weak. I was hearing it as an echo, like way behind. I'm like, what's going on? And she repeated it. She said, Lori, baby's heartbeat is fluctuating. It shoots so high and it comes back down. We have to rush you for an emergency cesarean. You said you wanted to do cesarean. I'm like, no, I was just joking. I was talking out of pain. She said, no, we have to rush you. So she brought a paper for me to sign, but I was too weak to sign. My husband just took it and signed, and all I heard was just take care. So from that time, I think it was around 6 p.m. from the following day. So from that time, all I saw was they just wheeled me from that floor to a different floor. That's where they have their cesarean sections and they handle complicated pregnancies. So they just wheeled me to that floor. I was still feeling very weak, very dizzy. I had not eaten too, and I was in so much pain. We got there, and then all they kept saying was, this is an emergency case, this is an emergency case. And I think there were just 2 theaters there. So, and there were people in there, it was occupied. So the people said, I'll have to wait. And the doctor who was supposed to have my C-section was acting very funny, like he's in a hurry. So I was like, what's going on? But I was too weak to be bothered. So I was there, and then the anesthesiologist came to me and prepped me for what was going to happen. So at that time, I just started crying. I don't know why I was crying, but I just started crying because I didn't know what was going on. I was feeling very sorry for myself because I was in so much pain. The labor was delaying, it was dragging, and everything was just happening so fast. I was confused. I was feeling very sad for myself. So I was just crying. And in that ward, family is not allowed in there. It's just you and the patient. So I was all alone in there and just waiting to go and have my surgery done. So after a few minutes, they finished, and then the surgeon, the doctor who was supposed to go and do I don't know if it's a Ghanaian or something, they just wheeled me to the theater. But before you enter the theater, they'll ask you some questions to make sure that you are giving consent for the operation. And then, so the nurse was asking me some questions and then filling a form, and all I saw was the doctor come in and say, this is not the time for that. Take her in there and let's have this done. You don't have to be asking her this question. And the nurse was like, no, doctor, this is protocol. We have to do it. And the doctor was like, we don't have time for protocol. You need to take her inside. I was like, God, what is happening? Why is the doctor acting as if like Judgment Day is coming? So I just kept quiet, and then they wheeled me inside the theater. When I entered the theater, I don't know, I just freaked out. I've never been inside a theater before. I've never had surgery before my entire life. I don't know how a theater looks like. I just freaked out. I saw the knives, the scissors, the surgery tools all lined up, and there were bright lights everywhere, and then there were so many doctors and nurses in there wearing their gowns, and it looked really scary. I just broke down and I started crying, and some of the nurses came to me and told me to keep calm. Everything is going to be okay. Fine, I've suffered from the night before. Finally, I'm coming to the end of the pain, so I should just relax. So that calmed me down a little bit. So the anesthesiologist came and explained the process. He has to give me anesthesia and all that. So he told me he was going to inject my spine, and then I'll feel numb from my waist downwards. I was like, okay, fine. So he injected me and told me the anesthesia would take effect after a few minutes, but we were waiting, and it wasn't working. They would ask me, lift your leg up, and then I'll just lift my leg and drop it. And they were just wondering. And the doctor too was giving them pressure that they need to hurry up so that they start. And they told the doctor that the anesthesia is not working. So what should they do? And I heard them say, oh, give her GA. So I was like, what is GA? And they said general anesthesia. And I was like, what does that do? They said, oh, for that one you sleep and then we'll do the operation. I don't know what came into my head at that point, but immediately they told me I'll sleep. All I said was, please don't let me die. I started screaming in the theater, please don't let me die. And everybody started laughing. Like, they found it funny and they found it sad. And they were like, why would I think I'll die? And I said, yes, because a friend of mine did surgery and then she slept and she didn't wake up. So for some reason, I thought that was going to happen to me. I was crying uncontrollably. My heart was beating very fast and I was really a mess. So there was this doctor who came close to me and she held my hand and she said, Lori, I'm here. I won't let anything happen to you. Just be calm and let's do this. So it was around 8 p.m. in the evening. I was still scared, but I just lied down and they injected me and I just went. So around 9:15, all I could hear was, Lori, wake up, Lori, wake up. So I just woke up and, you know, you are lost. It's like you're in a trance, like you are lost. You don't know what's going on. Then I remembered that, oh yeah, I'm coming to deliver a baby. Then as I remembered, so I was like, where's my baby? And then I saw somebody lift the baby up. Here's the baby. And they just brought the baby and they made him kiss my lip, like, and they just took him out and said, we have to rush baby to NICU. I'm like, what's all that? So I was weak and I knew at that point, I can't do anything about this. I don't know what's going on. So all I said was, does he have a name tag? They said, yes, he has a name tag. We are taking him to NICU. So we'll see you. That was all. Then I just went back to sleep. So they wheeled me to the recovery room and later they wheeled me back to my ward. And then I think it was around 10, 11 thereabout, my husband quickly came because he can't sleep. He has to go. He quickly came and just told me that everything is going to be okay. So he just went home. So that night I really cried my heart out because I didn't want to have a cesarean section. I wanted to do the natural way, SBD. So I don't sound a bit biblical here, but religious, sorry, but I used to pray a lot that I want to have the natural delivery, no cesarean section. I want to dilate quickly. I want to have less painful contractions, but it's like everything was the opposite. Contractions were painful, dilation, delayed, and I ended up having it. And the funny thing was, before they started the surgery, the doctor checked and he said I was 9 centimeters dilated. So I was just close to 10 for the delivery, but I think I was too weak then, so I wouldn't have been able to push. So they just had to do the surgery. So that night, I really cried my heart out. I was very sad. I felt disappointed. I was really traumatized with what I saw in the theater. I was just sad. I don't know how best to describe it, but I was really sad. Like a first timer, I wasn't prepped for that. I didn't know that it could go south. I just thought, oh, you go, contractions will come, maybe 8 hours max, you deliver. I didn't know that I would have to go through an emergency C-section and I'll end up like that. So I was feeling very sad, but again, that was very wrong. You know, they actually saved my life and saved my baby's life. And if not for the C-section, I don't know where I would be, or I don't know where my baby would be. There's a wrong perception. There's this perception about C-section in Ghana that has to be erased. You know, it's like people will tell you that, oh, if you do C-section, then they want war. You know, even in some churches, they give a prayer point, pray against C-section, you know, you trust C-section, like, that's really wrong. God gave wisdom to nurses and doctors to have that procedure to save lives. And I'm sure in the past where C-section was not that popular, that's why we had a very high maternal death rates. So if something like this is here, I think there should be more education on that. My whole antenatal class, there was no prepping on C-section, so it's like C-section was no. So there was no education. I wasn't prepped for that, which is very wrong. I think maybe it should just be included when you go for your antenatal. Once in a while, doctors should chip in that, oh, there's a possibility that you have a C-section. C-section is not bad. You know, things like that. You have to be prepped. And for some weeks, I was actually ashamed of it. You know, after I delivered, people will call you. I mean, my mom informed people that I had delivered, so people call you, oh, congratulations, what did you get? Oh, I had a boy. Oh, normal, and now your child. Then I feel a bit some way to say that, oh, your child. It's like I was feeling ashamed that I'll say that, oh, I did a C-section. There was just one time that I had to go and do mobile money. And then the lady was like, I'm sure I'm like, oh, yeah, see, oh, yeah, normal, won't. And I said, yeah, I lied. And after that, I was like, what did I just do? Like, why am I ashamed of the fact that I did a cesarean section? I need to embrace it because that saved my life. So, yeah, that's what's happened. My baby was taken to the NICU for some weeks. Fetal distress. That's what he said. So they were going to observe him to see if he has an infection or something. After some days or weeks, he developed jaundice. So they put him under the UV lights. I'm a new mom, so all these things are new to me. So right after when you go through, it's a major surgery. You need time to heal. You need time to recover from the surgery, but it wasn't like that for me. The following day, I had to get out of bed and take a trip down to NICU to go and breastfeed my baby and to go and check up on my baby. And I couldn't walk. I could feel the pain, and I was told that any mistake I make, if the stitches open, I have to be taken back in to be stitched up again. So I was being very careful, and I was in so much pain. I have to walk all down the way to NICU, go and see my baby, breastfeed my baby, someone who's had a major surgery like this, and I have to do this. We breastfeed every 3 hours, so every 3 hours you need to take this journey. And I was in so much pain down there. Getting out of bed was very hard, but I had to do it because I had to breastfeed. You go down to NICU, you see your baby sleeping in the hospital courts. NICU, you're not allowed to take in anything, no dress, nothing. They have their own dresses, they have their own cord sheets, they have their own diaper, they have their own wipes. They use everything. It's the best. They're trying to minimize infections and all that, but you go, you see your baby in some oversized onesie because that's what they have. So that's what your baby has to use. It was really heartbreaking because, again, I'm a new mom. I don't know about all these things. I didn't know that there's a NICU. I didn't know that you can stay for so long in the hospital after delivery. So I go there, I see my baby lying down in the midst of other sick babies, and I'm just crying. My breast milk is not coming because I'm stressed. I go there after some weeks, they tell me baby has jaundice, and they put baby under some lights. I feel so sad for my baby, and every time they have to give baby, it's a baby. Baby can't take drugs, so they have to pass the line and pass the drug through the line. So almost every day they're giving my baby a line. They're pricking him all over and he's just crying, and I can't do anything about it. I just have to stand there and watch. After some weeks, I go back and they tell me that we observe that your baby is breathing fast. So they don't know whether it's as a result of what happened, my water breaking and all those things. So they have to run some tests and see what's happening. So they did an X-ray of the chest. They didn't see anything, and they said we have to go and do an echocardiogram. I think that's what it's called, to check if the heart is okay. And I'm like, what is all this? Now you have to go and check my baby's heart. I just allowed it. We went, they did a test. They did a test, and it came out that there's nothing wrong with my baby. So we came back, we brought the results to the pediatrician, and he said, okay, most of the time when babies come out, they do a lot of strange things, but they outgrow them. So maybe he's breathing fast, but as time goes by, he'll breathe normal. And he's now breathing normal. He started breathing normal like months ago. But it's heartbreaking. Like, nobody preps you for these things. It's like when you are going to the hospital to go and deliver, I wish there would be somebody to tell you that, oh, maybe there can be an emergency and then they'll go and cut you. And when they cut you, they'll take baby to the NICU. You can stay there for some weeks, but don't worry. It's best for them to have baby in the NICU and then treat baby of everything that they suspect baby has. And then they'll give you a healthy baby to take home. It's better than going home with a sick baby, or even going home and not noticing that there's something actually wrong with your baby, then one day baby's dead. You know, someone should prep you on things like this so that you psych your mind that, okay, I'm going on a journey like this and something can happen. If nothing happens to you, fine, you are lucky, you come back home. But you need to have it at the back of your mind that when you go, anything can happen. I didn't know about NICU, but now I know about NICU, and I appreciate NICU for all that they did. Even though it was heartbreaking, all the things, blood culture, urine culture, so many things, so many terms they used. It was really heartbreaking, but I survived it, and now we are here. I mean, I was drowsy, so even when they brought baby close to kiss me, he looked blurry, so I couldn't see him properly. But the following morning, when I got the call to go to NICU to see baby, I don't know, it was love at first sight. I didn't see my baby the night before, but when I saw baby, when they showed me that this is your baby, I just knew, yes, that was my baby. I just knew that was my baby. And as I said, it was love at first sight. He was so adorable. He had full hair and he was doing those baby things. But at that time, I was feeling very sad. I don't know, I was feeling very emotional and very sad that even though I saw him and all I said was, oh, that was all. I wasn't happy. I just saw him, I just took him, I just breastfed, even though the breast milk was acting very funny. My mind was very far away, you know. I was now processing all that had happened to me. I was traumatized, like in some way. So it was like I was now processing everything. Even though it was love at first sight, I wasn't all that excited. My support system was good and is still strong. I had a lot of help. My husband, he's such an amazing person. Like, at the hospital and NICU, the mother is like the primary person who comes inside. The fathers, they just come for some 2 hours visiting and they go. But he never leaves the hospital. He's always waiting for me in the car. He's always the one going for lab bottles, taking samples to the lab, going for results. And my mom, she's so amazing. Like every single day, even though I didn't have appetite for all those weeks, every single day she just made it a point to be bringing me soups, ice kinky. She'll come for my clothes, go and wash. I was also sleeping in the hospital. I can't go home. So she'll come and take my clothes home to wash and bring them back. My mother-in-law, they were all very helpful. They were all very supportive. I'm sure they knew what I was going through. They just knew I was not myself. So they were all trying their very best to be there for me. Like they were very, very supportive, right from the hospital to when we got home. When we got home, I was still like that. I wasn't really in the mood, like new mom, happy. I wasn't really in the mood for all those things. My mom and my husband were still being very, very supportive. Because of the stress, my breast milk didn't come. It showed signs of coming, but it just didn't come. So my baby is formula fed. So it makes it easier for him to be taken care of by somebody else. So my mom would just be like, oh dear, that way I'll take care of baby. So the whole day, after she's done doing whatever she has to do, baby is with her the whole time. At night, baby, she baths baby, she feeds baby. At dawn, baby wakes up maybe 2 or 3 times. My mom will wake up and tell me to sleep. She'll be the one to feed baby. When baby wakes up to play, she's the one with baby, playing with baby, till I recovered from whatever I was going through, and then I took over. My husband is very supportive, very, very helpful. When I moved from my mom's back home, he's been helping me. We run shifts. Some nights I wake up to feed baby. Some other nights too, he wakes up to feed baby. He baths baby sometimes. He feeds baby. He plays with baby most of the time. So my support system is very strong. I think it's because of that I have recovered quickly from all that I went through, because they're just there helping me. They just don't want me to do this alone. I think my husband even does more work than me. I don't know. He just does most of the things. Maybe all I have to do is make his food. The rest he's doing it. He's bathing baby, dressing baby, playing with baby. He does most of the things. If he goes to my mom's too, she's doing most of the things. I think now I'm on a holiday. So it's my mom and my husband and my mother-in-law. They are just helpful. And my baby generally is not a fussy one. He's not a fussy baby. His is feed him, clean him, leave him. That's all. He's a very independent baby. He hates cuddles. He hates attention. That's what I'll say. He just wants to be on his own plane. Just once in a while, when he feels abandoned, then he'll just make noise and then you sit by him. That's all. So I'm okay. I don't know what I'm doing. 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 I'm just doing it. I don't know. I'm not following any procedure. I'm not following any benchmark. I'm just doing it my own way. Sometimes I feel like I'm not doing it the right way, but I'm just doing it. I'm trying my best. Am I feeding him well? Is he eating well? Is he within the right weight range for his age? Is he achieving all his milestones? Sometimes I see he behaves strangely and then I'm like, oh my goodness. My baby is very dramatic, you know. Sometimes you just be lying down and then you make a sound and then my husband and I will just run. I don't know, we can just run out of bed and just attend to him and we go there and then he's just laughing. You know, I don't know what I'm doing. Even though I have a lot of help, now I'm alone now with my husband and my baby. From the time we wake up till the time we sleep, we are just trying our best, honestly. There's no formula. I can't look at what Mother A is doing for her baby to do for mine. And I can't do, my mom is a pro. I can't do what she's doing. But my husband and I have tried to steady our baby. We've studied some of his cues, like when he makes certain sounds, what does it mean? Does he want to eat? Does he want to sleep? Does he want to play? And I think it's working well for now. Sometimes he'll just wake up and he'll go on a hunger strike. The whole day he will not eat. And when you force him, he's going to cry. And you are confused. Should I force him and give him the food, or should I leave him? When I leave him, won't he starve? Won't there be sore in his stomach? And then you try forcing him and he's fighting you and you're being like, hey, am I being too rough with him? I don't know what I'm doing, but I've come this far. We are 6 months and nothing has happened. He has never had a fever. He has never been sick. We are here, we've survived. So I think I'm doing what I think is best. I'm managing. My body has changed a lot, but it's the least of my worries. I used to be a size 6, size 8, but now I'm a 10, 12. My stomach is big, but I don't care. I have stretch marks all over my stomach, my waist. I don't care. I have weak bladder control. That I care. I'm treating it. It's getting better. It's postpartum things. It's getting better. My body has really changed. I feel wobbly sometimes, but I don't care. I don't know if it's called a keloid, but you know the incision they made, the cesarean incision. Yeah, I have a very big one there. I showed it to my doctor and he said, oh, you can have a cosmetic surgery so that it goes away. So I told him, I don't care. I mean, it comes with motherhood. That's the beauty of it. You don't expect your body to go back to the same way. You are growing, okay? It's something that I signed up for when I got married. I wanted to have kids and now I have a child. I know my body's not going to stay the same. I don't care. I'm not putting pressure on myself. I'm done with putting pressure on myself. At my own time, when I think I'm ready, I'll start dieting, I'll start going to the gym. But for now, I think I'm okay. And my husband has not made any comments about how I look. Maybe once in a while he'll tease me, but I don't care. Everything about motherhood is challenging. Everything is challenging. Like getting your baby to eat right is challenging. Now I've actually weaned him. I weaned him early. Now he takes solids. Getting the right porridge, the right cereal for him. Always trying to make sure that he's had a balanced diet. His eating is challenging. His sleeping is challenging. You always have to make sure that he's had a good sleep. He's taking a good afternoon nap so that he's not fussy. And when he's awake, you have to be there for him. Not all the time because I have to do other things, but most of the time you have to sit with him, play with him. It's tough. It's hard work. Right from the time you wake up till you sleep, it's just hard work. When you wake up, you have to bath your baby, make sure he's clean. During the day, if there's a stain or he messes up his dress, you have to change him. You always have to be on the lookout. When I'm bathing him, I'm always checking his ears, looking at his body, checking his nails to see if there's a new thing or some strange thing. Like, your senses have to be sharp. You have to be able to smell, see, like, you have to be on your toes, you know, you have to get your game on, like, when you're a mother.
And it's very hard, and sometimes you just break down and are tired, and you're always worried if maybe he's this month and he hasn't reached a particular milestone, and you're just there, so will he do it? Then you're always on Google reading, maybe he pooped and maybe the poop color is green, or maybe the poop color is yellow, and you're on Google reading, what does it mean? What does it mean when baby does this? When baby is coughing, you have to go, there's dry cough, there's wet cough. What does wet cough mean? What does dry cough mean? Baby is making some sounds with his mouth, then you go and describe that sound on Google. Like, it's really challenging, because at the end of the day, you want to raise a responsible human being. A baby is a gift from God. God has given you something to take care of, to nurture into a good thing. And I feel like on the day of reckoning, he's going to ask you that, what did you do to this gift I gave you? So it's you have to do your best. You have to do your best. I want my baby to grow up to be a very responsible individual. I want my baby to be very smart. Like, I want him to be some serious shark. I want my baby to be God-fearing. I want him to revere God. I want my baby to be very obedient. I want him to be a good child, basically. And I feel like I can't just sit there and say that, I want my baby to be smart. I have to put in the work, and it's hard work. Right now, I sing to baby, I read to baby sometimes when I have the time, and I'm praying for baby. It's hard. It's very, very hard. Motherhood is hard. I won't even lie about it. It's really, really hard. For the fact that you want to nurture someone into somebody responsible. I mean, I see how my mom looks at me, like she feels so proud, like she's done a good job. Like, yeah, I raised this girl sometimes, or most times. I want to be able to do same in 20, 30 years to come. I want to be able to see my son and feel in my heart that I did a good job, and maybe give God high five in the sky or something. So it's the fear is there that I might not do it well. I might over pamper him and he'll get spoiled. I might not be able to give him the very best. I want to work so hard. I want to save all that I have and give him the very best education, a good lifestyle, So it's challenging, but I know that I'll do it. So now my baby, I think, knows me. So anytime I step out, first, when he wakes up every morning, and then I go to his cot and he sees me, even if he's shouting or he's crying, immediately he sees me, he just smiles. When I go out and I come back, and I have so many nicknames for him. When I just mention one of his nicknames and he sees me, he just smiles. If he's able to finish his bottle, I'm so happy, I'm so excited. Anytime, like maybe he's 6 months now, but maybe when he turns on a new age, maybe he's 7 months now, 12 months, I'm so excited. Nothing bad happened. If he's able to pass like a milestone, maybe he's sitting now, he's clapping, those things, I'm just excited. He's just a lovely baby. So there's so many nice things about him. If you are pregnant or you are expecting, about to go and deliver, please have it at the back of your mind that there's a possibility of the pregnancy going south. You might not be lucky like some women. You might not have to go home the following day. You might have to stay in the hospital for some weeks, even months. But just tell yourself that it's for the better.
doctors are treating your baby so that you can go back home with a healthy baby. It's not a nice experience staying in the hospital or your baby being in the NICU. It's not a nice sight when you go to the hospital or you go to NICU and see your baby lying down sick. But just have it at the back of your mind that your baby will be treated and eventually you go back home. Your baby won't stay in NICU forever. Just leave the doctors and let them do whatever they want to do. And just take your mind off it and think about breast milk. Because if you are stressed, your breast milk will not come. So don't be like me. No matter what happens after delivery, postpartum or post-delivery, just be a happy person that you've gone through 9 months of pregnancy and you've taken the baby out and nothing happened to you. Just be happy, just be thankful, and just work on getting breast milk for your baby, because that's the most important thing.